Assalamu alaikum students, how are you all? I hope you all are fine and in good health. Students, in previous video we have discussed about the first, second and third generation computer. Today we are going to learn about further generations. It started with the fourth generation computer. Actually the fourth generation was started from 1971 till present. The technology used in this generation was microprocessor. That microprocessor is basically based on hundreds and thousands of IC chips. And here IC means integrated circuits that we had discussed in third generation. And the integration of IC chips becomes known as VLSI. It means very large scale integration. Students, that microprocessor is used to be called microprocessor because it's very small in size and it could be fit in the hand. And here the most important and most interesting fact is that the microprocessor's foundation is in Silicon Valley. It is a place in America where so many these kinds of chips were made in 1972 and still been producing at Silicon Valley. And you know what? Microprocessor comprised of three qualities and characteristics. Here I have mentioned these three qualities. First one is its high speed. Second one is complex calculations. Like it was able to do complex calculation. So that's why it is also known as brain of computer. And the third one is multitasking. It is the most important quality. Like microprocessor is able to perform various tasks simultaneously. Students, have you seen today's computer? If you have seen, you will find it interesting that it is the example of fourth generation computer. But students, there is one disadvantage of microprocessor. Actually, the problem is that it does not make any decision on its own, and it mostly depends on user's input. The way user give instruction, it acts upon exactly the same and gives efficient and non-efficient results accordingly. So students, from here onward, fifth generation is started, in which we will get to know that these computers are efficient enough to take decision on its own. So let's start it with the fifth generation. For this I have to remove all the text written on the board. Fifth generation. Students, fifth generation computers are smart enough to decide the future of computer science. And it is capable enough to take decision on its own. Technology which is using in fifth generation is artificial intelligence. It's artificial intelligence. There are lots of branches of artificial intelligence, but here the most important one is machine learning that we are going to discuss further. It is the most important branch of artificial intelligence. Students, in machine learning, first a user provides data in bulk to machine. So machine interprets the data and then takes decision accordingly. These three steps, I am going to write these three steps of machine learning on the board. So we will discuss it further. Three steps. Like first step is user provide data sets to the machine. You can call it data set or you can call it simple data. Then what is the second step? Second step is machine interprets that data or analyze the data. And the third step is a machine is capable to take a decision after interpreting the data. So here you have three basic steps of machine learning. First, user give dataset to the machine, then machine interprets the data, and the last step is after interpreting the data, machine takes a decision on its own. The more data sets a user provide to the machine, the more experience it can gain. And the more experience it can gain, the more it can learn on the basis of this. These computers can take decision on its own. So this is the whole process of fifth generation, which is based on machine learning. Students, consequently, the world decision will rely on this, like on fifth generation computers, which affect manpower a lot. In today's world, there are a lot of companies which are invested in artificial intelligence, but these types of computer are not available for common use, so that high-tech companies purchase them for specific purpose because they are so expensive. Here on page 14 you have some examples of fifth generation computers. Examples of fifth generation computers are robots and expert systems that are using in high-tech industries. Here we have forgot to discuss the examples of fourth generation computers. So on page 13 you can have a look of you can see the examples of fourth generation. First we have some examples of microprocessors that we are commonly using at homes, at schools, at various places, in which Intel Pentium series dual core, Core 2 Duo, Core i3, i5, i7 and AMD Athlon, and the fourth generation computers are IBM ThinkPad series, HP Pavilion series, Dell Inspiron series, and Apple's MacBook Pro and MacBook Air series. So students, let's revise the concepts that we have discussed till now. Like first we had discussed the time duration, the era of every generation. Like first generation started from 1940 to 1956, second generation started from 1956 to 1963, third generation started from 1963 to 71, fourth generation started from 1971 to present, and fifth generation is now being used in high-tech industries. So in first generation computer we had discussed that it is also called electronic computers because it's comprised on hundreds and thousands of electric circuits. The technology used in this generation was vacuum tubes, and that vacuum tubes was just like a structure of bulb, and it was huge in size, like it taking up an entire room. It was so expensive and unreliable. It consumed a lot of power and generated a lots of heat. Its input was basically based on punched cards, and the output, like for printout, a user was used electric typewriter in this generation. And the very important thing is the machine language. Machine language was the first language introduced in this generation to perform various tasks. Now, second generation. In second generation, we had discussed that the technology was transistor. It was based on the technology of silicon, which was made up of thousands of vacuum tube. So it replaced the need of thousands and hundreds of vacuum tubes and replaced it with transistors. Three scientists were involved in the invention of transistors: William Shockley, John Barden, and Walter Brattain. It reduced the size of computer to the greater extent, and as well as enhanced memory capacity and overall speed. Assembly languages was used in this generation, and the most important thing was high-level languages, which was introduced first in this generation, like Fortran and COBOL, etc. Now, third generation computers, in which we had discussed that the technology was integrated circuits, which was based on hundreds and thousands of transistors. It reduced the size to the greater extent of computer, improved the speed and memory of computer. Keyboard and monitor were its main invention. It runs different application programs at the same time. Now, fourth generation, which we have discussed. In this, we had discussed that technology was used, which was microprocessor, based on thousands of IC chips, small in size, very reliable, large storage capacity. And the most important things that we haven't discussed is that GUI was introduced. Nowadays, that GUI means graphical user interface. Your Windows operating system is basically rely on this technology, rely on this platform. Modern languages, modern programming languages was developed, in which C++, Python, Java, these all are the modern programming languages, and they all are the inventions of 4th generation computers. Now 5th generation, in which we had discussed that technology was artificial intelligence, and its aim is to make computer responsible for taking up the decision on its own. And the important branch of artificial intelligence is machine learning. And in machine learning, what are those 3 steps that we have discussed? Those 3 steps are: first, user give data sets to the machine, then machine interprets or analyzes the data, and then takes any decision on the basis of that data. It is used for specific purpose. So high-tech industries purchase those generation computers for performing specific purpose or for performing specific tasks. Robotic technology is one of the example.